Hello and welcome along to the Met Office Deep Dive. Will the sun continue to shine? Where we'll see any showers over the next few days? And any sign of any warmth on the horizon? We'll try and answer all of those questions in the next 20 to 25 minutes. My name's Alex Deakin, and as always, I want to start off with a huge thank you for watching and getting involved. We love reading all your comments, and please do keep any suggestions that you have about any topics that you'd like us to cover in these deep dives or anywhere else. Also, please, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit subscribe. It's really good for our stats and our numbers, and it means we can keep doing more of these things. So if you like it, please hit subscribe and share the love, right? Just tell people that we're on here and that we're doing this. If you know a weather enthusiast who might like to watch one of these deep dives, just please share it with them and put the message out there across social media. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get on and talk about what's going on this week, because finally we're seeing a bit of sunshine. Let's just pause the satellite picture here. This was yesterday's image. This is an old weather front that brought a bit of rain on Sunday night. That cleared through, and then many places having some sunshine during the course of yesterday. Let's fast forward over the past 24 hours or so, and we've seen a lot of clear skies overnight. It's been another chilly morning this morning, and then the cloud has been spilling in from the north as we've been through the day today. Let's just put it back to pretty much time of recording. You can see there some patchy cloud across the northern half of the country. That's the infrared image. This is the visible satellite image. So again, if we just zoom in a little bit more, it might be clearer. You can see some lumpy looking cloud across Scotland and northern England. Pop the radar on. That's where we've got the showers. So quite a few showers dotted there across Scotland and just easing down into northern England and Northern Ireland. And that's basically the forecast for the rest of today. We'll see these showers just trickling their way southwards. Nothing too heavy for most, but as we just fast forward a couple of hours, we could just see some heavier showers as they drift down into parts of northern England and again southern Scotland. So 1 or 2 heavy showers possible through the evening rush hour, 6, 7 o'clock. But again, as we go through the evening, we'll lose that warmth. Those showers will tend to fade away, and most places will become dry once more. Not just dry, but clear skies. The winds are light, and we've got clear skies, and we're in reasonably cold air. Temperatures over the past few days have been around or a touch below average. And so tonight, with the cold air and the clear skies, it is going to be a little bit of a chilly one, and the potential even for a touch of frost or two. So let's take a look at the minimum temperatures over the next day or so. And if we look down across Wales, for example, so these are the minimum temperatures through the next few days going along the bottom there. You can see a general rise in those temperatures, but certainly tonight close to freezing through some parts of Wales. And if we just lift that further into northwest England, again, look at those temperatures across parts of, what's that, Cumbria, 1-2 degrees for the next couple of nights. And further south, actually, probably the coldest night in the southeast is going to be Wednesday night into Thursday morning, where temperatures again in some rural spots not far off freezing. Raising that as a point because obviously this time of year people like to put some bedding plants out, perhaps. So gardeners, just take note, the potential for some pockets of frost certainly across parts of Scotland and northern England over the next couple of nights. So just be aware of that. What's the weather doing then? Well, let's take a look at that. You can see a big chunky area of high pressure dominating, and the jet stream not particularly strong, kind of arching over, allowing this ridge, this high pressure to dominate across the country. Taking off the jet stream and just moving forward to Wednesday, it's a very similar scenario. Still got high pressure dominating, a high pressure building. This is an extension of the Azores high. So down here, these islands there, the Azores, and there's a kind of semi-permanent area of high pressure that sits over them. But every now and then, that high pressure extends and pushes its way up towards the UK. And we have that extension of the Azores high dominating our weather at the moment. Fast forward to Thursday, very similar story, still got high pressure nearby and close to the UK. And even on Friday, there's that Azores high just building in. Now you'll notice, in fact, let's run through the sequence in terms of play it through. At times, that area of high pressure just gives way to weather fronts across the north, just toppling in. That's what we've got at the moment, bringing a few showers across the north. And then this one will come in during tomorrow and bring some rain across northern parts of Scotland. There we go, let's pop the rain on in fact. So you can see that patchy rain just dribbling across northern Scotland there tomorrow. Fast forward to Thursday. And another weather front coming in, bringing some rain up to the northwest. So although high pressure is dominating, it isn't going to be completely dry. There'll be chilly mornings. Many places seeing sunny spells, but as these weather fronts just topple in across the north at times, they will be bringing some outbreaks of rain here, particularly so on Thursday and into Friday. So generally speaking, England and Wales dry fine with sunny spells. Same goes for most of Scotland and Northern Ireland until Thursday, when this weather front will be bringing some cloud and rain in. But generally, it's that extension of the Azores high, keeping things fine for the next few days. But we're not going to see huge change in maximum temperatures. We've seen that trend of night times will get a little bit warmer as we go towards the end of the week. But the daytime temperatures, no significant changes with those. It will get a little warmer as we go through the next few days, but it really will depend on where you are, and what we're going to see more importantly is local effects. So things like sea breezes will have a big effect on the temperature over the next few days, because the sea is still pretty cold at this time of year. So if you get a sea breeze developing, that is going to bring much cooler conditions in, and the wind direction will play a huge part. Now these maps are showing the temperature anomalies, the temperature when you compare them to average. So you take the expected maximum temperature, subtract the average for this time of year, and if it's pale orange, then that's above average. Red is obviously significantly above average, and there's none of that. There's nothing too significant. These maps are all pretty pale, really. So hints that eastern areas on Thursday will be a bit warmer than average. Again, on Friday, it looks a little cooler in the east. We may see an easterly breeze picking up, but there's then back to the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Again, no strong signals there, a touch above average. So after temperatures start in the week a little below average, by the end of the week, they may well generally be a little bit above, but no strong signal for any real warmth. And that continues even in the longer term outlook. If we take a look at the temperature trend from the European model, from the ensemble models, when we run the models many times, and this gives you more of a probabilistic look at temperatures with each of these little blobs, bar and whiskers, box and whiskers plots, showing us the temperatures going forward along the bottom there. Top one's Edinburgh, bottom one's Reading. This is the average line, this red line here, and these box and whiskers plots just show you where the whole range of possibilities lie. And you can see actually that generally speaking, across into Reading in particular, those temperatures are going to be fairly close to average well into next week. Some suggest a little bit warmer than average, but equally some suggest a little bit cooler than average. Whereas on Edinburgh, the top line there, temperatures actually slightly above average for the next few days. And then generally again into next week, those plots close to the average line, perhaps slightly above. So again, we're not seeing any signal for any significant warmth even into that pretty long range forecast. The main trend is for it to get a little bit warmer. After it has been cooler than average at the start of the week, it's likely to be back closer to average and then perhaps a little bit above average through the weekend and into next week. So they're the temperature trends, generally getting a little bit milder by night, but then it is quite cold at the moment. The daytime temperatures just getting back to average, perhaps a little bit above, but nothing more significant than that at this stage, even as we head into June. One thing I want to show you also while we're talking about temperatures is just how chilly the air is across Shetland at the moment. I'm going to actually put on the 0 degree line. This is basically showing how high up in the atmosphere you have to go before you hit 0 degrees Celsius. So down at the ground, we've talked about the temperatures, mid to high teens. How high up through the sky do you have to go before you get to 0 Celsius? Because obviously the higher you go, generally speaking, the colder it gets. Most of the UK covered in this dark British racing green, would you call that? Perhaps it's a little light for that. It depends how you describe it. But yes, dark green colours suggesting you've got to go at least to 1,400 metres before you get to 0 degrees Celsius across most of the UK. But notice across northern Scotland, we've got this gradient. It is getting colder, and particularly there across Shetland, look at that, those dark blues. You only have to go 400 metres up before you get to 0 Celsius. Now, this is a useful tool that meteorologists use for dictating the likelihood of snow. When you get the freezing level at 0 degrees Celsius down to between 4 and 200 meters, then there's a chance that the snow won't melt on its way down. If you get, certainly if it's 200 meters, you would expect snow to get all the way down to the ground if that 0 Celsius line is only 200 meters above. And you can see actually, if we just forward through here a little bit, there are some speckles of grey. So that freezing level across Shetland at the moment is only 200-300 meters up through the sky. So if we were to see some showers, they may well have a bit of winteriness to them, even at this time of year. And that's not exceptional for Shetland, but it is quite interesting just to note how much colder the air is at the moment across that northeastern corner. Fast forward to Wednesday, and that colder air has gone up across Scandinavia, and the air has warmed out even here as well. Now, I said if we were to see any snow showers, but actually we're not really expecting any showers across Shetland today. It is likely just to stay dry, but there is a wind blowing here as well, so it feels pretty chilly with that cold air and that brisk wind blowing across Shetland at the moment. Maximum temperatures today, generally, as I say, around about average. So the sun makes such a difference at this time of year. If you stand in the sunshine with light winds, the sun is so strong, we're not far off the longest day. So the sun is so strong, it does feel quite warm. But these temperatures, if you get in the shade, which is where these temperatures are measured, it does feel really quite chilly. And we've already talked about those overnight temperatures being quite low as well. So temperatures bang average at the moment, but just wanted to highlight there's that Lerwick coming in at 10 Celsius. Oh, I wonder, I haven't tried this, but if we put that, let's put the wind chill on. So there we go. I hadn't checked this before we go. It's always nice to get a surprise, isn't it, when you go on? Look at that. This is the feels like temperature in Shetland at the moment. Elsewhere, the wind's not particularly strong. It feels more like, 2 or 3 degrees lower than the actual temperature. But that wind with that cold air across Lerwick, making it feel close to freezing. That is pretty unusual for this time of year. We are in mid-May, so pretty chilly, but good news if you're in Shetland, temperatures will be rising. That wind will be easing over the next couple of days. So that's temperatures. We've talked about the longer range outlook with temperatures as well. Let's take a look at what's going on back with the weather, because there's our area of high pressure that's going to keep things pretty dry. That extension of the Azores high for the next couple of days. Most places not seeing much in the way of rain. There will be some showers. Might have to zoom in a little bit on this, won't we? Let's bring it back to Wednesday. Actually, let's take a look at this closer view here, because we talked about the showers today coming in across the north and east. Let's fast forward to Wednesday. This is Wednesday afternoon. Not many showers on that chart. There's a weather front moving. We've already talked about that, going some rain across northern Scotland. But actually, if you just pick out here, just take a look at this. I'm going to rewind, because the most likely time for showers in this zone, if we zoom in, is actually tomorrow morning across the East Midlands, South East England. It's that 10, 11 o'clock. That is when we're most likely to see showers. So that's a bit unusual as well. Normally you'd expect the showers to build with the highest temperatures through the middle part of the day. But the legacy of that weather front sinking south was just increasing the moisture late morning, brings the greatest risk of showers across the southeast and East Anglia and the East Midlands tomorrow late morning around lunchtime. So there is the possibility of 1 or 2 showers, but they're not going to be very much, just a light shower, and it won't last too long either. But just interesting that those showers are most likely late morning, whereas you get into the afternoon, I've gone too far there, get into the afternoon, those showers have mostly gone away. So generally dry and fine for the next couple of days. Thursday's a similar story. Again, most places having a decent day. Chilly starts, some cloud developing through the day, dry and bright with some sunshine. Weather front coming into the northwest. Now that weather front becomes interesting as things progress during Thursday night and into Friday. And Friday's where we're really going to focus in for the next 5 minutes or so on what's going on Friday, because again, let's take the jet stream off. Fast forward to Thursday. High pressure still in control, but a weather front coming up against that area of high pressure, bringing with it cloud and rain. But as it bumps up against that area of high pressure, what kind of happens is it dies out. It bumps up against the high pressure. The high pressure kind of wrings it out, if you like, drains it of all its rain, drains it of all its forcing, and it stops producing a huge amount of rain by the time we get to Thursday night and then into Friday. It's weakening all the time, weakening all the time. until it kind of just fizzles out during the course of Friday. So as a weather front, it's dying as it bumps up against that area of high pressure. The high pressure is dominating. That weather front is just kind of fizzling out. But what it does do is it leaves a bit of a legacy of moisture, footprint of moisture. And actually, even though it's a cold front, where it lies will be some slightly warmer air. Now, this time of year, you get some slightly warmer air, you get that bit of moisture. When the sun does get going, the sun gets up in the sky, it could well produce quite a few showers during Friday. And that's the big question mark about the weather for the next few days. Where we'll see the showers on Friday? Now, our computer model, if we zoom in a little bit on that for Friday, has a bit of a messy picture. So you can kind of work out the kind of ghostly image of where that weather front is, where it's left that footprint of moisture. You can see some showers there across parts of the UK, straddling from northeast England down across Wales. But looking at the ensemble forecast, when we run the model many times, there's quite a disparity about where, if any, we'll see any showers during Friday. And I can show you that with this. Now, this is what we call the postage stamps. When we run our model many times, it gives us slightly different outputs. But in this case, it's giving us quite a variety, quite a disparity in where the showers could develop on Friday. I know you probably can't see a great deal on that image, but I'm just going to show you this one, which is just to give you two examples. So this is member 7 and member 29. Member 7 has that weather front reigniting with a lot of heavy showers there across southeast Scotland, northeast England, and down across the Midlands, whereas member 29 on the right there doesn't have anything really further north and has a scattering, but of potentially quite heavy showers there across more southern areas. So a huge disparity between these two members of what could happen on Friday. That's quite unusual to have this much disparity at this kind of time range for something like showers. So that's a bit of a question mark about where we'll see showers on Friday, even though we've got that high pressure still dominating, that weather front just introducing enough moisture to create some showers on Friday, and a big question mark at this stage about where they are going to be. Now, that's the Met Office computer model interpretation for Friday, but of course we look at quite a few different computer models, and the interesting is very subtle difference in what's going on high up in the atmosphere that creates the differences in where we could see showers for Friday. And let's take a look. I will put the jet stream back on for Friday, and let's take the pressure off and the rainfall off. So this is where the jet is lying on Friday. Let's make it, yeah, so that's lunchtime on Friday, where the jet stream is. And you can see it's arching up over Iceland and then diving in this quite unusual position north-south across more western parts of the UK on Friday. And it's that, the position of that, how strong it is, that will dictate what goes on and where we see some showers. That's the Met Office interpretation of where the jet stream is. But if I show you now the four main computer models that we tend to look at, which is the Met Office model here. Sorry, it's in a slightly different color, but it's to do with the way we get our data in and stuff like that. And we can't show all of the other models in our graphic system yet, so we have to kind of take screenshots. So apologies, it's slightly different, but it's showing the same thing. We saw in pink earlier. It's now just in orange. The jet stream coming down and that north-south across to the west of the UK. Now, this is the European model, and it's in quite a similar position, actually, a remarkably similar position, but slightly less intense, perhaps. This is the GFS, or the American computer model, and that is all just a little further forward, only by, what, 100 miles or so? But it makes a big difference. And then this is the Icon model, the German model, which is further east still and also quite a bit weaker. But also the shape of that jet stream is also vitally important. So different positions of the jet, and they are therefore creating different things going on high up in the sky. Now, this is the four projections from those four models again, but we're now looking at something called the vorticity fields at 300 hectopascals at about 30,000 feet up in the sky. These are the vorticity fields, and another word, another term that as meteorologists like to use is forcing. Generally, we're talking about forcing, where the air is being forced to rise. And these dark purple strips, that's where the forcing is strongest. Now, it's associated with the jet, just a little bit ahead of it in that Met Office model, top left. EC model, top right, similar positions there for that main bit of forcing, and it's the forcing, it's that air that's being forced to rise is where we're most likely to see those showers, whereas that American model has that forcing, that purple streak much further east across the UK, and the German model, again, because that jet is in a different position, has that forcing slightly more bent, but also has a little bit, those reds and purples there coming into the southeast of England, and the EC model has that as well. And again, that forcing where the air is being forced up is more likely to spark showers. So there's quite a bit of disparity about where. We know we will see some showers on Friday, but exactly getting the distribution right at this stage is quite tricky. They could be on the heavy side as well. Now, they don't look particularly vicious if we do see these showers, but it's something to take note that Friday is more likely to be showery after what has been a fairly dry week across much of the UK. But details of Friday's weather, that's what we'll be firming up on over the next couple of days. And the guys upstairs who are looking at this all the time, the operational meteorologists here, will be keeping a close eye on developments. And hopefully all the models will start to agree a little bit more over the next 24 hours or so and be able to pin down a few more details for Friday. But if you've got plans for Friday, just be prepared at this stage for a few showers. And keep up to date with the forecast, make sure you're following the Met Office, and then we'll be able to update you as and when we know more. So yes, a few showers around on Friday for sure, but exact details of where and how intense they'll be, we will know more in the next 24 to 36 hours. What happens beyond that? Well, let's fast forward to Saturday, shall we? Again, let's keep that jet stream on. You can see by Saturday, that jet that was quite strong coming down the western side is now weakening all the while. And again, we are back in the situation where we've got the high pressure. This is the Azores high down here, still back extending in across the UK. So the high pressure is still influencing things. It's still dominating. That jet stream is weakening, so there won't be as much forcing, not as many showers around on Saturday. Much of the UK looking dry and fine. And if we just play through the sequence, I'll take the jet stream off now. You can see that Azores high, keeping things fine. There is another one of those weather fronts just toppling in across Scotland. So into the weekend, generally speaking, high pressure still dominant, a lot of dry weather around, but the position of that weather front will bring some cloud and some rain across parts of the north during Saturday night and into Sunday. But even into the start of next week, no real dramatic changes. It looks like the Azores high will continue to dominate our weather. However, notice by the very end of this, by Sunday, in here, there is something of an area of low pressure. That may start to influence because the winds go around low pressure like that. I wonder if I can put the winds on. Yeah, so now we're starting to introduce perhaps something of a northeasterly wind across that southeastern corner, which will bring a chill if the wind's coming in from the sea. But equally, if we put the temperatures on, notice that actually, if we let's rewind through the pattern. We talked earlier about how the temperatures aren't really changing very much, and if there's not a great deal going on with the temperatures is there, through the rest of this week. That pale orange colour kind of continuing. But if we get right to the end, there is some warmer air, some darker oranges there, just creeping up closer to the southeast. So that's something we need to look at as we go into next week. There is some warmth here, the potential that we could tap into that, but as well as warmth, there is moisture. So as well as that, perhaps getting a little bit warmer, it could get a bit more humid and the potential for some heavier showers into next week. But generally through next week, we're going to have lower pressure, perhaps close to the southeast, higher pressure dominant further north, and that is the pressure pattern trend, it looks like, as we go, say, through next week and beyond towards the end of May. Aidan will have more on this as we go more into detail for next week's weather in the 10-day trend tomorrow. So again, another reason to hit subscribe, and you'll get a notification when that 10-day trend pops up on our YouTube channel tomorrow, but that'll be Aidan covering that. What else do we want to look at? Well, how about we look beyond? Maybe I'm going to steal a bit of Aidan's thunder, because this is going beyond into next week with the most likely pressure trend. The reds representing high pressure, blues representing low pressure, and you can see with the dates going along the top there. When we look at all the computer models, there's a lot of red on the chart. So the main theme is that high pressure is likely to dominate into next week. But as we've seen, the exact shape and the position will be crucial about how the day feels and whether you've got the wind coming in from the sea or not. That sea breeze factor, where we could still see some showers. Even though high pressure is dominant, we can still, as we've seen for Friday, get some showers coming in. But the main theme for much of, well, through the weekend into the early part of next week is that high pressure will dominate. It does get a little pinker, a little less of a strong signal through the back end of next week as we head towards another bank holiday. But generally speaking, the pressure looks high. Now, another thing we look at is the regime, the multi-model weather regime probabilities, where we break the weather into 8 different flavors and discuss which is the most likely of those flavors of weather, where the yellows and the reds are slow-moving weather systems, when the weather's typically slow-moving, often with high pressure. The blues are generally where the weather's more mobile and more shifting around, and often more associated with low pressure and wet and windy weather. Now, there's a strong signal here. Again, dates going on the bottom now. This banana yellow, would you call that? I don't know. Primrose, maybe. That's the Azores high extension. Now, we've seen that the Azores high will dominate through this week into the weekend, and we know about that. But then beyond that, it does get a little messier. Still the Azores high, not too far around, not too far away, or decent chance. Those probabilities, what, 60% there for Wednesday the 24th, that the Azores high is still the dominant feature. But back end of next week, those darker maroons suggesting that we may well get into a negative NAO situation. That's the most likely. Quite a lot of the computer models are signaling that towards the end of May and into June, that the negative NAO weather patterns could take over. The NAO is the North Atlantic Oscillation. And that is basically a measure of the pressure difference between Iceland and the Azores. And when that's positive, when there's a positive pressure difference, it means we've got a very mobile weather pattern. And we often have westerly winds. You get bands of rain coming in, your classic kind of autumn, winter, unsettled spells of weather with frequent bands of rain and often quite blustery. The opposite of that is a negative NAO. And that is when the weather's less energetic, more blocked, and the weather patterns are more slow moving, and we've got a greater chance of seeing east or northeasterly winds. Now, that's, I say, quite a way away, but there is a reasonable signal for that to develop towards the end of May and into the start of June, and our final bank holiday weekend for a while. Already shown that, no need for me to show you that again. I think I've shown you pretty much everything. As I said earlier, we will be talking more in detail about the potential for any warmth next week or showers in the southeast next week on the 10-day trend tomorrow. But thank you for watching the deep dive. One more thing I need to remember as well, UV levels are high this week. We've talked about temperatures not being much above average, if at all. But don't forget, UV, how strong the sun is, doesn't bear any relevance to the actual temperature. It's not about how warm it actually is, it's the strength of the sun, and we are only 6 weeks away from the longest day when the sun is at its strongest. So UV levels will be high over the next few days. So if you've got some sunshine, doing anything outside, put a hat on, don't forget the sunscreen, and do stay safe in the sunshine as well. I know we haven't seen a huge amount of it so far this spring. Everyone wants to enjoy it, but just make sure you put the sunscreen on as well. So that's the end of my safety message. But I would like to say again, thank you very much for watching, and do subscribe and do leave us a comment if you would like to. We do read them all, so we do appreciate that. And any suggestions you have about how we might change things, what we might do in the future, also very, very welcome indeed. But thank you for watching this week's Deep Dive. Hey, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It really is appreciated. Please do share the love, let people know we're on here, and do check out our other YouTube videos. And also, please, if you could hit subscribe, that would be fantastic. Thank you.